Alright, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling something absolutely crucial in New Zealand's standard construction contract, NZS 3910. Yep, we are talking about payments, the very lifeblood that keeps the whole industry ticking. And let's be honest, in these high-stakes games, cash flow is everything, right? Just one tiny slip-up, a missed deadline, form filled out wrong, and your project's finances could be in serious trouble. So, stick with me and we'll walk through how to keep you and your project safe. Oh, here's our game plan. We'll start with why this stuff matters, the Financial Lifeline. Then we'll meet the new key players or referees. We'll look at the tight deadlines, get into the nitty-gritty of the paperwork, and then cover the big one, the sudden death trap. And finally, we'll figure out what to do when a payment schedule says 0. Okay, first things first, let's really understand what the payment schedule is all about and why. It's not just paperwork. It's literally the financial heartbeat of your project under NZS 3910. You may be tempted to think of this as just another invoice approval, but it is so much more than that. This is a serious, legally binding document. The whole process is governed by the Construction Contracts Act, which means these rules, they're not just suggestions. It's all about making things clear and transparent, keeping that cash moving and protecting everyone involved. Now this is interesting. In the 2023 update, the roles really got a shakeup. You've got to know who's who on the field. So let's meet the new referees. Okay, so this is a really big deal. In the old days, you had the engineer to the contract, and this person had to wear two hats at the same time. 1 minute, they're the principal's agents, and the next, they're supposed to be a completely fair referee. A bit of a conflict, right? Well, the new standard fixes that by splitting the role. You now have a contract administrator working for the principal and a truly independent certifier whose only job is to be impartial. And this is the key part. It's this independent certifier who handles the payment schedules. So much clearer. The whole payment process is basically a race against time. The deadlines are strict. They're set in stone by the contract and the law. And missing one, well, that's where the trouble starts. So, let's look at the timeline. It all kicks off when the contractor submits their claim. Then the independent certifier puts out a provisional schedule. The principal gets a quick look and can ask for changes. After that, the final schedule is issued and boom, payment is made. Simple, right? But every single one of those steps is on the clock. Remember this number 12? Just 12 working days. That's all the time the independent certifier gets to issue that final payment schedule. Once the claim lands on their desk, the clock starts ticking instantly. It is an absolutely critical deadline. And then 17 working days from the initial claim. That is the absolute final deadline for the money to actually be paid. Think about that. It's an incredibly fast turnaround. There is zero room for delay. Okay, so to make this race against the clock even possible, the paperwork has to be perfect. Both the contractor's claim and the payer's schedule have to follow some very specific rules to even be considered valid. Let's break them down. For the contractor, this is your golden ticket. Your payment claim isn't just a simple invoice. It has to have all these things miss just one, and you could invalidate the entire claim. So, you've got to take every single box, every single time. Now for the payer side, the schedule needs to be just as buttoned up, but look at that last point, because it's the most important one. If you are going to pay a single cent less than what was claimed, you have to explain exactly why and show your math. Just writing disputed cost is not going to fly. And that brings us to the most dangerous part of this whole process. This is what happens when you don't follow those rules we just talked about. Welcome to the sudden death trap. So, what happens if the payer misses that 12-day deadline? Or what if they sent a schedule but it's not valid? Maybe it doesn't explain the deductions properly. Well, that's when a hidden trapdoor swings open, and this is the brutal reality of sudden death. You lose your right to argue. The entire amount the contractor asked for is now legally due. It becomes a statutory debt that has to be made right away. It doesn't matter if you had a good reason for the deduction, your chance to debate is gone. And this isn't some abstract legal theory. This happens. A simple mistake, like someone forgetting to check their calendar, can turn routine payment into a massive, undisputed financial problem. It's a very real risk. Okay, so bearing all that in mind, let's look at a different scenario. What if the payer does everything right? They meet the deadline, their schedule is valid, but the amount they schedule to pay is zero. Now, this is a really important point. A $0 schedule is not a failure. It is the response as long as it's on time, and clearly explains why nothing is being paid. It's a perfectly valid way to dispute the claim. This isn't the end of the process. It's the formal start of the dispute process, and the contract gives you a clear ladder to climb. You start with a review. Then the first proper step is for senior people from both companies to sit down and try to work it out. If that fails, you can move to adjudication, which is a super fast way to get a decision. And if you need to, you can escalate further to more formal things like mediation or arbitration. So, when you look at it, the payment process and NZS 3910 is one of two things. It can either be a minefield full of hidden traps for people who don't know the rules, or it can be a predictable safety net that keeps cash flowing and protects everyone. And knowing the difference is what keeps your project, your money, and your business secure.